What are you still salty about? In a 5th grade science test the question was, are there any stars in the solar system? I answered, yes. Teacher marked it wrong. I went up afterwards and said, what about the sun? He said. He meant that all the other stars are not in our solar system and kept it marked wrong. Although I'm harboring this for 50 years now. He was all around one of the best teachers I ever had and just passed away a week or so ago. But damn, that should have been marked right. Are there any beans in this jar? Yes. There appear to be 3. Wrong. I meant all the beans that are outside of the jar. You see, if you exclude all the beans inside the jar, there are no beans in the jar. You sure are stupid. Apostrophe. Lol basically. When I was in high school someone tagged up the school. They announced there would be a reward for anyone who rats anyone out. I get called in the office and find out I'm suspended for vandalization. I didn't do it and had no idea who. 4 days later I'm allowed to come back to school because they found who actually did it. I just got an apology. Public humiliation. Private apology. Well in front of my parents. We tried to see what we could do against the school. All legal advice was no to do anything. When I was in high school, I was occasionally allowed to drive my family's 3rd car. It had a slow leak in one of the tires. So we were all supposed to check the pressure and put air in it if we needed to. I picked up a friend to go to a movie, and when we came out one tire was completely flat. It wasn't the one with the leak. So I put the spare on and drove home. I got absolute hell from my parents about it. How irresponsible I was to not check it. I'd have to pay for the repair. Why didn't I call roadside assistance? Etc. Took it to get fixed. Repeat the whole lecture as we're dropping it off. And the tech who did it called my mom and told her he'd found a nail in the tire and there was no way I could have seen it coming. She refused to apologize and I still had to pay for it. That's not even bad parenting. That's just bad personing. Teachers never apologized for yelling at me and saying I know what you did because they confused me with someone else with the same name who did something bad, kicking some giant chess pieces over. In 4th grade English class, EU, I've used the word gross in a random sentence we had to write. The teacher argued that it isn't a real word. I said that it is. That I saw it a few times in video games and movies, and she said that they aren't a reliable source. I said to her that I'm gonna show it in the dictionary, but she instead grabbed me by the arm and took me out of the classroom and locked the door. To this day I'm still fuming about this. And then she had the nerve to be all chummy when I met her once in a supermarket. Gross. Edit. In both cases it was meant like disgusting, and I know there are even more meanings behind the word. I wonder if she knows by now. You could have also said you met the grossly overweight teacher in the grocer's buying a gross of eggs. You are grossly overestimating my writing skills. On a 4th grade math test we had to make a shape that had only 4 sides, 1 set of parallel lines, and only 1 right angle. There were probably more requirements, but I can't remember. I remember almost crying at my desk and spending 20 minutes on that one question, while constantly telling my teacher that it wasn't possible, but according to her it was. And the next day we went over the answer key, and the answer had 2 right angles. Yo, I had something like this happen to me. We had a paper sheet with tons of math questions. One of them was impossible and the whole class knew it. We went up to our teacher and she said no questions. Next day we were reviewing it and she said it was impossible, but still marked us all wrong. Edit. A lot of people were bugging me about punctuations, so I fixed it. That is infuriating. 3 months ago I went on maternity leave. The woman hired to cover for me was being paid $3 more than I'm currently paid. She was going to be kept on as a full-time accounting assistant after I returned. But she couldn't keep up with my daily tasks and completely ducked up several databases that I had to correct when I returned to work the following month. When I asked for a raise, they offered me $50 after telling me how crucial I'm to the structure of the company. Needless to say, I'm looking for a new job. Let that be a lesson. Never expect a respectable raise from the company you are currently in. If you want more money, think you deserve more money, etc., go somewhere else. 100% true. Also, be careful about trying to secure a different position at the same company if it's similar to your current one, or it's a company that doesn't clearly separate job duties. That's a good way to have new duties on top of your old duties while they look for a replacement. And you probably won't get paid as much as a new hire for that other position either. Not saying don't do it, but be diligent and prepared to look for alternatives if they try to screw you. You're selling them your labor, nothing else. You owe them nothing that isn't specifically laid out in writing. And they owe you nothing that isn't also in writing. 20 years ago I had 3 friends show up at my house, and when they left my wallet with $80 in it was missing. One of the guys felt bad and gave me $20 back. 3 years after that we are in the back drive-thru and he whipped out my wallet. Still salty. His FB friend request has just been sitting there for like 2 years. Like 12 years ago, a friend of mine brought his friend to my house. My phone went missing at some point. He was the only person there that I had not known for half my life. He tried to blame it on my siblings' friends, but didn't realize that he was the only one there who didn't consider our house a second home. I ended up getting someone I knew to tell him she lost her phone, and she got him to offer her my exact phone, but at some point he must have realized what was going on, and he ghosted her before she could buy it back for me. Like 6 years later he tried to come back for a party, and I told him to get lost. Still mad. When I was a freshman in college my mom gave my car to my jailbird brother. Every time he got out she'd scrape a bunch of stuff together for his fresh start without ever running it by me. He showed up to my school, changed the battery for me, and then drove away in it. He didn't tell me his intentions beforehand, so it wasn't until then that I caught on. As he drove off I called my mom and she just said I'll help you with a new one. He moved out of state with that car, wrecked it within weeks, and has since gone back to jail multiple times. Neither of them have given me a sincere apology to this day. I was probably 5 years old visiting my mom at the hospital after she gave birth to my brother, and she was given food on a tray which she didn't want, so she gave it to me. I put the tray on the table, and as I was eating, the nurse takes the tray away from me and throws away the food. That may have my first true instance of anger in my life. I'm 27 now, and invested in writing this haha. Came second in food tech competition. Made a lovely main course, then lames do chat biscuits with lemon posset for dessert. I made this dessert because the judges prior to this day told us don't make a cake for dessert. Guess what won first place? A ducking cake. Ugh. So, my dad and mom got divorced before I was 1, and he would randomly come around once every few years to pretend to be a dad for a week or to then disappear again. This is important to the story. Anyway, I have always sucked at and hated math. We got a homework assignment. I think I was in 1st grade. We were working on 0 times whatever number. I was super excited because I understood it and knew I would get all the questions right. The whole worksheet was just questions asking was 0 times another number was. My father made me show him the worksheet when I was finished and made me change every damn answer because wow, you're stupid. Did you pay attention at all in class? I explained to the teacher when I turned it in and still got a ducking 0. Edited to at, wow. Thank you for all the comments showing so much love and support. I kind of feel like that meme that mentions thinking you have a fairly normal childhood until you tell somebody else about it and they freak out and you then realize it wasn't normal at all, haha. Seriously though, to those of you kind-hearted human beings and parents out there who have broken the cycle, you're amazing. You keep doing what you're doing. You're an awesome human being and I love you. To those of you out there who have had similar experiences to this, and to those of you who like me have experienced way worse, I feel you. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I know life really ducking sucks sometimes. Okay, a lot of the time for some of us. And I know that there's times where you just want to beat your head against the wall because it seems like Groundhog Day. Every day is the same and just horrible. But it does. And will get better. Just remember that the night is always the darkest just before dawn. The first day of 8th grade my best friend and friend group informed me that they would no longer be my friend. To this day, 20 years later, I still don't understand how or why things ended up that way. I can only guess, because I was the shy nerd of the group and they were trying to fit in with the cool crowd. Regardless, it was a miserable experience that left me with quite a few trust issues. When my mom put my sister's name on my birthday cake. Later that night I also walked in on my parents getting their freak on. Pretty horrible way to turn 13. Still angry that my 6th grade teacher refused to believe I had no idea the dude sitting behind me was copying my answers on the test. Kindergarten. Playing with a kid in the sandbox. Was a fairly drizzly day. We are making a castle, and there's a puddle a few feet from us. He wants to dig a moat around the castle. And I say sure. So he just kinda jams his hand in the dirt and starts pulling. Making way too huge of a channel. Which he immediately realizes is going to just destroy our castle. So I say quick build a dam to stop the water. He freezes. Stares at me with wide eyes and mouth agape before running off. I think this is strange, but okay whatever I saved the castle. So I go back to digging when the teacher runs up and grabs me and says to go to timeout. To which I obviously protest and say no WTF I didn't do anything. She then immediately says she knows I said a bad word and to not try and lie. To which I'm again confused and say I did not. After a few back and forths of her trying to pull me away by the arm and me rather violently resisting, it occurs to her to actually ask what happened. I explained the story. I still remember her face kinda dropping, realizing the other little shit thought I said damn instead of damn, and then immediately ratting on me. Tries to say well maybe use a different word, to which I again vehemently protest against, because no, that is the correct word for such a situation and that's just how it works, and it's his fault for not knowing the word. etc. etc. Until she finally gives in and explains to the kid that I did not swear and that no one likes tattletales. I'm in my 30s and on the other side of the country, and I still remember this as a very instance in which I gazed upon my fellow man and wept. For he is stupid. Coming second in a school trivia competition 21 years ago. I had the correct answers onto questions that would have sent us to the national champs and was vetoed by the other 3 shitheads on my team. I was at a house party in college and we had to take off our shoes. Some bitch walked home in mile leather knee-high boots and I've never gotten over it. Edit. For clarity. She left her dirty ass shoes behind for me to go home with. So thanks I guess you shoe thieving wrench. When I was in high school, I entered a book quiz, and one of the books I chose was Demon Thief by Darren Shan. During the quiz, I was asked what was the main characteristic of the demonitor summoned by the punk during the concert. I said it had 3 heads. Wrong. The answer was that it had a dyed mohawk, except it was the punk that summoned it that had the mohawk, not the damn demonitor. I lost a point because the question setter could either not read, not write, or couldn't remember the book correctly. I found a bongo next to the trash at my old apartment, and it was a perfect time capsule of the 90s. It had Grateful Dead stickers, a smiley face holographic sticker, a pot leaf sticker, and Alien. Him telling you, if someone made this as a prop for a movie about the 90s, I would have told them that it's too on the nose. When I came home from work, the first thing my GF's friend said was "You're welcome," and I was like, what? She had peeled off all of the vintage stickers and now it was just a boring trash bongo. I'm still mad. Don't touch my shit. When my old boss pulled out the 2020 calendar in late 2019 and asked everyone what days off they need so we can plan ahead and around, everyone was spitting off dates. I didn't have any plans yet, so I didn't request anything until she specifically asked me if I needed/wanted any dates off. I shrugged and asked for one day around my birthday because why not? And she started mocking me in front of everyone. It's just a 23rd birthday. Why would you need that off? But look. Obviously rolling her eyes. Then started treating me like an idiot the rest of the day. I missed out on recognition at my school's big academic assembly for arguably the most important academic results one gets in their schooling career in my state in Australia because the teacher I had sent my results to didn't pass on the news. It's been years and it still fills me with such exasperation. I've mentioned this before, but when I was about 8 or 9, we had a big project in school which ended with us writing a story. I spent fucking hours on this thing. It was going to be the best book ever. It was only a matter of time before it was snapped up by some publisher, and then it would be the talk of the Scholastic Book Fair. No doubt in my mind. It absolutely had to be in by the time school finished for Christmas, so my teacher could mark it over the break. So I stayed up until about 10 o'clock at night for about a week beforehand working on it, which, you know, is the closest thing you get to an all-nighter when you're about 9. It was my magnum opus. I got back to school in January to find that A, she had lost it, B, she was accusing me of not handing it in, and C, because mine was the only one she couldn't find, she decided to call me out in front of the class about it. I ended up locking myself in the toilet because I was crying so much. Worst still, it later transpired that when it turned up after all, she marked it as though it was handed in late, and the bitch still only gave me a middling grade. Duck you, Mrs. Harding. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.